Okay, so that's not enough time to actually get, it's always hard to judge at the beginning how long it takes to get up the learning curve to sort of get stuff organized. But I'm happy to go through sort of slowly what the steps were for doing the assignment. And the key thing is, I guess, the key thing I focus on initially, you gotta walk before you run. So I think in both cases, I think I would not try to, I'm not gonna start by asking what the model looks like, even though that's what we've been emphasizing. Most of our lectures, most of our lectures thus far have focused on what's the right equations for the model. Here, we're just Zen mind, beginner mind, we're going back to like, I'm an RA. My professor has the model running. He says, go generate the reports for me. I want to see the graphics that looks like this. That seems like a relatively routine. It's like taking out the garbage, but in fact, if you don't know how to take out the garbage, it's hard to do, right? So it's like, so I'll just go through that process here. So if I'm going to open, and I apologize, I guess I should probably use the IDE, but or the studio, but I'm terrible at it. It's like, I'm really bad at that. Whereas my editor, the editor is in my spine. I've been using the same editor since 1982. And it's basically, it's now available. It's an open source thing. It's Emacs, or it's a version of Emacs. And
Yeah,
so,
but the code's going to be the same, right? It's just the add text editor.
text editors.
Oh yeah, it's just like if you're using Notepad instead of. Okay, that's fine.
So if I look at, I'm going to begin with the Chauvin-Wally exercise.
Okay. This is what you guys are working on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this has got, and here we see the,
Share your screen, please. Tom.
and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna just jump to the, as I said, to the RA level stuff, which is we had the starting the GAMS.sw data, implement the Chauvin-Wallace complementarity problem model in GAMS with the following variables. And I give you the macros, and then I have a footnote that says, alternatively, just begin with SWMCP. So I'm just going to begin with that file. Let's first just go and look at SWMCP.
Okay.
What the model looks like. This is the model. My expectation would be that eventually, or my hope is that you'll eventually get to the point where you'd be able to write a model like this. So if I look at this, SWMCP is here. Let me change my size, my font, set font.
Tom, it's fine. People can see plenty good. It's okay. You don't.
But I can go to 14.
Okay, fine.
So this guy, so this then, if we look at the top of the file, the first thing we see is we have this thing called include swdata.gms.
Oh yeah.
So the title just sets a running title for what it is we're doing. Then we have an on text, off text, which is just a comment block saying, okay, this is what this is about. Here's your reference to the paper. And then we have an include statement that says, okay, before you move any further, go back and process this other model. So if I look at that model, SW data, that declares the SW data file declares sets, factors, sectors, households, and it declares some parameters, right, for the sets.
Yep.
And it uses the table statement is like a parameter statement, except it's with row labels and column labels. So parameter and table are the same. They're declaring a parameter, but table makes it possible to lay it out in a way that's more human friendly to read. So that's the data. And if I go back, then that's my model. And then once I've got that, then I add a couple of things. I'm not sure why. I think this guy should be in the data file as well. So I'm just going to move those guys into the data file. So then I have some parameters, and then I have, and so this guy's already done the work for you. So I've declared the macros, and I've written down, let's just look at the market. We have market clearance, zero profit, and income balance. Market clearance says that the total endowment of factor F by summing across all the households of their endowments is equal to the total demand. And the demand for F in sector S is the activity level of S, which is Y of S, times A of F comma S. So A is the compensated demand. It's the demand for factor F per unit activity of sector S. And then how much S do we produce? We produce as much S as we need for demand. So this has no intermediate, this model has no intermediate demand. It's only factors are used to produce goods. So that's the fact, the output supply. And then we have a zero profit condition that says if we sum across the factors going in of the factor price, the market price, times 1 plus the ad valorem tax rate, times the factor demand per unit of output. That's the cost of production. And the arbitrage condition says the cost has to be greater than or equal to market price, not less than, greater than. If the cost exceeds the market price, then the activity level is 0.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we say income of household I is equal to the endowment revenue plus their share of the factor revenue, factor tax revenue. In this model, we're not modeling government, we're just taking the money and handing any money that gets collected in taxes gets handed right back to the households. Sure.
Okay. Wait, say that one more time. So it's the sum of their endowment, right? And then the factor endowment, and then their share of it. Is that what you
This
said?
is the value of factor income. And this is the value of factor endowment. The primary endowments. That's a fancy word. And this is going to be the household share. This guy would
And that's
be,
their share. Okay, yeah.
so essentially the government applies taxes and turns on and hands it back to
Hands
us.
it back.
So it's strictly a redistributive role.
Okay.
And then we declare the model, and the model consists of declaring an equation dot with the variable that goes with it. In this model, we're always going to have interior solutions. There's no inequalities, but we can still, it's a square system and we know what variable goes with what equation, so we can associate it. And then that gives an initial value and solves it. Now, rather than, you could mess around in this model, but if we were to be clean about the way we're doing this, let's just go to a thing that's called swsolve.gms. And I'm going to say, I'm going to read the model. What am I doing here? Let's see. I already had a file called that, so I'm going to go to swsolve. Start over again. I'm just going to begin from beginner's mind. So I'm going to go to my PDF file. It says what, and I apologize, I'm jumping around, but I'm saying SW exercise.pdf. So it says Chauvin-Wally exercise. Using your model, produce the reports corresponding on table 2 and table 3 from the Chauvin-Wally paper. Use your report of taxed and untaxed equilibria. Your display statement for table 3 should appear as shown below. So if I look at how this works, let's look at what we're trying to do. So here we have table 3. And this tells us, so say we can see the table 3 has one index on the table, one index on the row, and one index on the column. So we know that it's got 3 dimensions, right? So if we go back, we can say, if I go back to swsolve, parameter table 3, star, star, star. I'm giving it, oh, what do we call it here? Equilibrium solution, 50% tax on manufacturing capital. So let's do the same thing. If we do exactly solution dash dash 50% on manufacturing capital. Okay. So I've given this, and I know that I have to do the solution. Solve the model here with a 50% tax on manufacturing capital. That's going to be solve. So solve JEL using MCP. And we know we have to put a 50% tax. So if I look at what this is, it's going to say T of quote capital, comma, and I forget what it's called. It's called manufacturing. Well, MFRS is equal to 0.50. Right. So I've given the solution there. I need to say something. I look at this. I have to say 2 share of H. I'm not sure. Let's initially just assume that it's shared 50-50. That's a detail that we have to do. is to figure out how this works. So there's the solution of the model. And now, after the solution, we want to do a report. And so now we're generating a report. And this is where, man, getting your mind around what you're doing and how this works, this is always hard. And it's like, part of it is like, do you pick up the intuition right off the bat? And so you don't have to read the instructions because you can guess how it works. Or do you have to look up every time you go to do something, you have to look it up. And it's just hard, right? It's like this process. And for some people, this process of figuring out how to generate the model is hard. It's not easy. I'm just warning you, this part is hard. So what I'm saying is I'm going to say that the column there says P divided by PL. So we're going to divide by the wage rate as numeraire. Notice that the price of labor is equal to 1.000. So here I'm going to say, okay, well, I have to have a table that says prices. So I go back to my model. And again, I'm doing, again, this is a it's hard to explain because this is something that's been in my spine. It goes back actually to, I think it goes back prior to TOPS 20. I think that the hold down the tab key and hold down the alt key and hit the tab. That I think goes back to PDP 11. When I was working on senior year in college, I worked on scheduling the school buses for the city of New Haven. We did a cool project where we wrote a linear program to do this scale scheduling. I was really into this project. It was an engineering project, but it was politically correct because we were really into busing. This was to achieve racial integration. This was considered cool. And so we developed a program to try to improve upon. It was like he seemed ancient. He was maybe 55. So the guy, he had a map on the wall of his office, and he had pins, and he had different colored yarn. And the way he would decide which buses go to pick up which kid was he would take the yarn and put it between the pins. And then figure out which ones won't wear it. So we worked on a linear program to try to better this guy. It was actually quite hard. But at that time, that's when I learned that you can hold down the Alt key and you can pop between things, and it's quicker than trying to do it otherwise. So here, if you hold the Alt key down with your left thumb, and then you hit the Tab key with your middle finger, you'll see that immediately Windows gives you a list. And this is the same command that you can use on
Alt first? Yeah, okay.
hold down the Alt, and then you can see them. And while you're doing that,
Yeah,
once you've got it displayed, if you hold the thing down, you can go up and say, oh, I want to close the zoom. So you can move your mouse over and close things that you don't want. It's the most efficient way to move between processes. And what's more is what I really like about learning this is it's operating system portable. In other words, it's a technique that if you get it in your if they change Windows, it'll still be there. It's been there since the beginning. The problem about learning shortcuts for Windows commands is they come around and change them every 2 years. It's really annoying, right? So
the best is when you tried to show that to Jim.
no,
Yeah, he just like.
so I say table 3 of prices, comma F, comma P divided by PL. Let's see, what was the
It is PL.
PL is equal to W dot L of F divided by W dot L of labor. I think it's called labor. Now, what are we doing there? We're normalizing prices for the report. The equilibrium model does not determine the absolute price level. There's a price level that we use for solving the model. I think we fixed one of the prices to be 1. So we probably don't need to do the divide by 0, but I have a habit of always dividing. That way, if I change how I normalize prices for the solution, it doesn't change my reporting. So this way, we're going to report that way. And then I'm going to say, have a second line. And again, the way I do that in my editor is I go back, move the cursor up a line, I kill that line, yank to retrieve it, and then I yank it a second time. That way I don't have to retype everything. And then I can say S, and then I'm going to say here it's going to be P dot L of S divided by W dot L of labor. It seems stupid, but in fact, what I tell my students is learning an editor well at your age probably adds $50,000 to your lifetime income. Honestly.
It's true.
If you learn how to use an editor and how to hack text, and you've got a long residual life, has a huge return.
No,
Because otherwise, of course, I've been telling Jim Markison this since I met him, and I haven't been successful. So
Yeah, you've been successful with your students and your coworkers.
I have to keep doing that.
Something is messed up.
that's
Now my thing's just blinking now with this alt. You see?
Yeah.
Maybe if I close it. Hold on, just give it a minute. I don't know, it just keeps, that alt thing, now it just keeps jumping up randomly.
is the tab key.
It's probably just this computer.
It may need to be restarted. right?
Let me see.
Yeah, see, it just keeps popping up like this. Randomly. See, it's like weird. Is it because I have too much stuff open?
I don't know, but I'm also not able to get access to the thing.
Yeah. Maybe we should close some things.
Something's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think, I bet what's happened is you've
You
got too
okay?
many things, you got too many things open and you're running out of, and it's swapping the disk and then it's slow. Because once you exceed, how much memory do you have in this machine?
I think a lot, because these are supposedly, right?
Yeah.
These are supposedly like juiced up for this kind of stuff. but-
Excel can be very, very costly in terms of how much it uses.
Yeah, let's just close Excel. I can just close it.
Now, I'd close Excel would be
Yeah,
my,
end task.
I think that you have to be careful with Excel because it's really, and it grabs all the processors too. The bad thing about Excel, normally if you have if you use tasks which are only using one processor, then it basically it can't take over the machine, but Excel takes over your machine. So
Okay, and then we say just display.
yeah, so we're gonna say option table 3, :3, :1, And this, again, this is just when you're running GAMS and you want to get stuff coming back and you have lots of different dimensions, the option statement is really useful because you can control how it gets formatted. And if I look at this example, the formatting is we have one index on the table, one index on the row, and one index on the column. So if I look at it this way, let's just see if I solve this, SW solve. There's my solution coming back. So those are the solutions. And let's look now, I can say, okay, how does this compare? We don't have exactly the same number. So we have something that's wrong, but it's at least we have you see the formatting is correct.
Mhm.
So I want to go back to the thing and see what does it say about how we do the maybe let's just keep going. Let's just keep going on the assignment. There's something about the solution. We probably have the data. It's probably, I have to go back into the paper to see how I'm handling. I think it's probably the revenue is not being distributed properly, but let's just. So the next one is going to be prod A. And what was that prod?
Let's see.
Index is equal to prod A and prod B.
Mhm.
Capital. Okay, so let's look at what we got here. I'm going to say so I'm just looking at what it says prod underscore A. And then I say, what am I saying? It's going to be a S. And I'm just going to write myself a list of what I need to do. I'm going to have capital. I'm going to have the other one is going to be quantity. The other one is going to be revenue. I'm just making a list of what I have to compute here. Cap cost net. It's called cap cost net.
then I have a thing that says cap cost gross. So now, again, this is just, and again, this is, I wish I knew, I was trying to see, I didn't see it on the, on Google as to what the, split screen with GAMS, GAMS Studio, split screen. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if this, I don't know how to do this actually. In Visual Studio, you can do it. I don't know how, anyway, I'm not sure. So,
It's fine, maybe.
Yeah.
so again, just, this is why I just use one editor, because I use the same editor for everything. So there I've got a list of what I want to do.
Mhm.
And now I can, if I split the screen and I go to SWMCP, now I have the list here. I can see all the commands I have. And so there's the whole model in front of me. So down below, I've opened the model equations up above. I'm doing the reporting, and this is very common way you're working. You're looking at the model. You want to have stuff to report, and reporting is just picking stuff out of the model
Yeah, the show.
and moving it over. Right?
So that's all that SWSOL is doing, is just reporting. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's all we're doing is doing a run and generating.
And generating a report.
That's all we're doing.
And then the other file is has the model and is running the model.
Yeah,
right?
so the model, so we have, it's SWMCP, the model
Yeah,
is in SWMCP, and the data is included above that. So it
yeah.
goes
So there's
goes
three,
three levels.
yeah, I get it, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So now, I go to capital, that's going to be, I can see, now there's one detail here in this reporting that's useful, is that now we have a macro, and now this has a bit of a problem because I want to get the level values out. I want to know what the levels are. So I have to put the .L on the variables to get the report back to tell me what the level value is in the
Yeah.
report. So this is a piece of detail that we have to do. We have to say on .L. So if I go here, I say on .L. That says ask GAMS telegrams to assume that we want W.L when we write of F. It evaluates W of L of F. For example, e.g. So this says capital, the amount of capital is going to be Y dot L of S times A of capital into S. So Y, A is the compensated demand for unit output, Y is the output of S, and we're multiplying the output times the compensated demand to tell us what the total demand of capital is. So that's the amount of capital going into that sector. And it's important to note that the stuff in double quotes we're treating as singletons. Those are just single items that we're leaving. And then the ones that are not quoted, in this case, the S
SF.
is generating from manufacturers and non-manufacturers. We're getting two of them.
Yeah, that's the set. Right, S is the set of
Yeah.
sectors, right?
And now the output is going to be Y dot L of S. The revenue is going to be Y dot L of S. Now, let's see, where does this go? It's going to be Y dot L of S times P of S. That's P. The capital cost net is going to be equal to net of tax. The capital cost is going to be W dot L of capital. And the capital cost gross is going to be W dot L of S of capital times 1 plus T of capital into S.
grabbing the data back, put it into the parameters so we can display it. Again, this is set up again, the common approach. And if I'm working the way I do with an editor, I just alt tab to the command line. I hit an up arrow that says do the last command I issued.
Mhm.
Right? And then I go like that. It comes back to the solution. I have the solution. I go back here to my editor. I do Control B. I go back and I can go in and read the solution, read what I currently did. Let's see, there's the prices, and there's what I'm getting coming back from prod A. So we can see that we're putting a tax on capital in the manufacturing sector. So the net price is 1.13. The gross price is 1.69. Revenue, that shows revenue, it shows the quantity, shows the capital input, so everything basically gets.
Can you go back to the other window?
Sure.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, show that whole, go all the way up. Now, when you put it in the quotes like that, is it case sensitive?
No, the stuff that goes in finance quotes is not case sensitive.
Okay,
GAMS.
so basically nothing is case
Yeah,
sensitive.
basically.
Okay, that's good though. So if you by accident hold shift down, it's too long, it doesn't matter.
The last time.
Why do you have on.l? You don't need that.
Because we're using A of capital comma S in the report, and A is a macro.
Right, okay.
And the macro is the compensated demand function, which references to the factor prices.
Yeah, okay.
So if we pull that in, then we have to use on.l or else we can't evaluate.
Oh, I think it might get.
So you see the A is doing a substitution. If I look at the listing file, you'll see what actually gets evaluated here, swsol.list. So I'm looking at the listing file. Here's what we've written. So there's what we wrote was prod A capital is equal to y dot L times A. And what GAMS does above is it expands the A as a macro. It expands it by putting in all of the equations for the compensated demand function that's thrown in at that point.
So I'm just, okay.
So here we say the capital demand in the sector S is the compensated demand times the activity level.
Mhm.
And up above, what it actually generates is y dot L times, and that puts in this phi times sigma, all that stuff, and that's what gets substituted in for the A.
For the A. That's the macro, right?
That's the macro.
That's the macro, okay.
The macro A gets expanded.
This is.
Can we
Makes
run
sense
it
to me,
now?
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
how'd you get that view?
What's that?
That one up there?
I opened the listing file.
Oh, it's in, oh, if you, so you
Listing
scroll
file.
up in the listing file, be,
Yeah.
because I should have this, if
Yeah,
I did it right?
listing file, you look for the equation where the assignment is in table 3.
Let me see your tables too. I just want to see what numbers you got. One. Okay,
It's not what's in the PDF file, so I still have something wrong.
something's wrong, but at least I'm getting what you're getting. So that means I
Yeah.
like at least was tracking what you're,
Initially, you just get the reporting working, so you just get something back, and then you gradually work on it.
Yeah.
Dig stuff
actually,
out.
wait a second. Maybe I'm not getting what you're getting for cap cost net.
It's, so I will look at what I wrote. It's gonna be,
You go back to your SWSOL file. Cap, I got W.
Oh, here, and I'm sorry, here, cost net, I have to, I'm sorry, that may be the problem. This should be all divided by W dot. Or how am I solving them? Let's just look at the numeraire, how it's. Yeah, so we're fixing W dot L of labor, so it's not a numeraire issue, because it's, if we just report the numbers directly, then it'll be. It's just all, no. Wage rate, W dot L.
Minus
Did you get something different?
1. Did you go to different number?
I did for cap cost net for some reason. I'm not sure why. But for
W
everything else,
dot L of capital.
W dot. Yeah, okay, that's what I got. And then I get in.
Let's look at the listing file. Let's look at the solution listing. So maybe you have a different solution. So the thing is here, what I did is I put T of capital in the MFR is equal to 0.5.
I have that.
I have T share of H is equal to 0.5.
Got that.
And then I say solve.
Yep. Solve gel using MC. Yeah, I got that. Yeah. So you're saying up in my list file would tell me potentially.
Let's just see it. Let's look at the solution listing coming back, status. So if I look at status, var space W, I get 1.1271. So you can look at your listing file. If you look at solve var,
Yeah.
the last solve,
Yep.
then look at the W for W.
Okay. Click it, right? Yeah, I think I'm there.
1.1271.
1 point. For the no, I got 1.124.
Weird.
So it's just, and I got the. No, I'm a little bit off on my commodity price too, just
Okay, let me
barely.
look at your listing file. Maybe you should share your screen. I can look at what you're doing.
I don't even have the Zoom link though. That's the issue.
You can go to your Teams and get it from there.
Oh, let me just, I'll look at your screen.
Just take a quick look. Yeah. I'm at the right spots. You say go to the last solve bar, go
Yeah.
to W.
Yeah.
And I'm getting this.
Okay, that's wrong. So let's go back. Let's go to the GMS file.
Oh, yeah, this one, right? And so I didn't do the last line. I was just these ones because I'm only doing up until the point where
Yeah,
I
but
have
the
a
problem is that we can stop here. It's not about the reporting there because we found that there's an error here as well. So T share 0.5, T of capital, is it MFRS? Is that right? 0.5.
Yeah.
Let's look at SW. Let's look at SWMCP.
I don't even think I touched this thing.
Yeah, so that should all be equal to 0. That looks fine. And that all looks fine. So what's going on here?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I didn't touch any of this. I just tried to, I get what you're doing here.
Yeah,
I just
the thing is, what's happening here, we can put an X, a dollar exit here. So we just go to that point.
exit here.
Dollar exit, yeah.
Yeah.
Now let's run it again.
Okay. Where do you want me to go to?
Solve R. Let's look at this number.
So, now I have what you have.
Yeah, I think you probably hadn't solved it. You were looking older. I don't know. You hadn't run it in a while. So now
Yeah, weird. So you're saying because it's solved here, right? It just hasn't. This is just the reporting.
you
of
had
it.
put the second solvent, but you hadn't run it.
Interesting.
I don't know exactly. No, I'm not sure.
No. That's fine as long as I get the answer now.
Well, it's weird.
I have something wrong with my solve button. Because earlier I couldn't remember. There's something funky going on, but let me see now. Anyway,
So we're running low on time. I guess it's striking me that, boy, there's more to explain here than I realized. I'm just always perennially underestimating the amount of time.
You
it takes
take
to-
so many things for granted.
Yeah, I'm really bad.
that's
So
all
I
right.
think-
I mean, we can pick back up on this like tomorrow afternoon or Friday too.
Yeah, I think probably the best thing for me would be for me to do a recording where I go through it slowly.
Yeah. I mean, I
A
think
screen recording,
Mhm.
doing what I'm doing. It'd probably be good for me to do it with the studio.
Yeah.
The studio and record it, and that way you guys can go back. Because I think these two exercises, in terms of becoming productive, it's not about the complexity of the model, it's about what do we need to be able to do? We need to be able to run the model, get the results back, report the
Report them,
results.
yeah,
That's the
That's
key.
huge, yeah.
That's the huge thing, right? Learning what's the right model, how do I modify the model, where do I get the data, how do I reconcile the data? There's all these other things involved, but this basic thing is, we have a model that works. What does it tell us?
Yeah.
That's sort of the first thing that I think
I
we
think,
want to focus on doing.
yeah, and I think for like, the Windy C stuff that we're doing with GTAP for people on the phone as well as for both of us. Yeah, it's really about the reporting aspect of it and then tweaking a little bit about what you've done, like different scenarios.
Yeah,
If you
the thing
make
is-
this little, what happened,
You change this assumption, that assumption.
Yeah.
But the thing is, invariably, it's always a matter of, I change this in the model, how does that change the results? So it's always this thing about how to queue up the model, generate the model with this assumption, with that assumption, compare. It's always this thing, do this, do that. But the very beginning thing is, how do I get the numbers out of the model?
Yeah,
And then how do I formulate a tool to spread them? I've tried to help, but it's clearly I need to do more. And this is, no, I haven't really done. I did put together the lecture notes from yesterday. So we'll come back to this. I'm going to declare this not done yet. But if I look at GMS file,
does anybody on there have a question? Did they like run through this? And does anybody?
Natalie has this, or I don't know if Nabil is here too. Nabil, do you guys have any questions?
Martin's on.
Yeah,
I
Mark.
don't have any specific questions. I ran into some issues with the code, but I'm gonna try and look back through things, and maybe if there's another recording later, that'll be helpful.
I think to avoid slowing us down too much, I think I better do the recording independently and post that. Because that way you can go back and double check it.
Yeah,
I think that these two models, though, get to the essence of how to learn this and get up the learning curve fast. It's like shooting free throws. I think I would get to know these two models inside out, and I would do it more than once.
Yeah,
Where you just begin from the data file and build them all. And that's because you can make so many mistakes. It's really helpful to learn how you do them.
that's what I'm saying, Nabil. I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but if you want to ask, if you're getting an error and it's something you can explain,
Or
it
not.
almost is better, huh?
I mean, or not. If you can't explain it, it's also fine.
Yeah, it's just more that like, one of the things I found is when I get an error and I'm not getting it, I kind of give up and like, that's not good. Go ahead.
Nabil, you can also share your screen if you like.
You don't have to, by the way, it was just,
And we're getting a little bit low on time. Because
Yeah.
we're there, but I was just going to say, here I basically updated these lecture notes as well to explain this little model, but this one is, there's not that much difference from this model, what we're doing right now. So
and that's on the course website.
that's on the course website.
Maybe
So,
we can do that tonight, something with that.
Yeah.
so I went through
As long
this
as Jim
guy
doesn't-
and I went through, so I,
I
here,
think we are here to learn, so.
Yeah,
I put up a description here of moving report data into an Excel file. Again, this is something you could do by hand just to reproduce what I did. So I basically said, so here I'm trying to explain the command there that says unload the GDX file and move into Excel file and explain the commands, what the options are for this command. Again, Jim doesn't like this because he thinks it gets in his way. He just has one command, but the problem is that there's lots of stuff that you have to keep track of. And here, to get it into a pivot table format, you want to hit CDEM equal to 0 to push out zeros rather than having them be skipped. You want to put in an EPS and convert the EPS into zeros. And then there's also this thing of storing numeric values as elements. So there's a bunch of stuff that we're doing there. And then I included things in this thing. I also included a thing about, okay, we insert headings into row 1, and then we select columns A to D. And this is stuff you probably already know, but I'm just saying, okay, then we say insert pivot chart and table.
Oh, you're just going through how to create a pivot table. Yeah,
then-
this is fine,
And then
yeah.
what's the range?
Yeah.
And then we have to convert from the count of values to the sum of the values, right? So there's this conversion of the thing, and then you have to basically do that conversion. And then you have to say, okay, let's move it into a new pivot chart. And then let's format the axis. Let's add chart titles. So here I show how to put in. So basically this shows you how to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I compare this, so I do the 3 results that come out, and then I give you a link to the new plot. If you decide you want to use GNU plot, then this is how to write a command file for GNU plot. I first do it by hand. So basically I say, okay, I go to the listing file, I grab the numbers, I can stick them into a GNU plot package.
Yeah.
Or I also give you a give you a M3 plot, which is a GAMS script that automatically generates the GNU plot script from GAMS, writes the data out, and then it generates the files as PNG and as PDF. So that does it automatically in the background. And so there's no difference. And I say, yeah, but GNU plot's cool because you can do other stuff. And so I show you sort of some of the stuff you can do with GNU plot. It's like, it's a cool package and stuff. So I'm just giving you that this stuff is very much like RA type exercises, but that turns out to be, that's really where the problem is learning. And part of it is that GAMS is a little bit different, but part of it is that just it's a different way of using your computer, right? So this thing about running stuff and coming back. So that's fun.
Perfect.
Okay. So even though we have work left to go, we have to declare victory.
It's enough for today.
Yeah, that's
There will be another day.
We'll come back for
Yeah, it's
another
what
round.
time
late
is it?
in
It's
DC, yeah.
Yeah, 5:15.
Okay, gang, thanks a lot for hanging around.
See you
Yeah.
again tomorrow morning.